Have you checked the children? You're a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird, here to do a review of the second season of One Punch Man. So I did review the first season, and while they're more horror adjacent, not really full horror. It's kind of superhero and horror mix because it's about heroes, superheroes, that constantly have to battle off monsters. Sometimes they're big monsters, sometimes they're human-sized monsters, but there is a lot of gore and a lot of violence involved in it, or at least there was in the first season. So I'm here to talk about the follow-up second season. The first season I did watch, I believe, dubbed, when it became available on Hulu. The second season is available, but it's only available in the subtitles right now. So I went ahead and watched it with subtitles because I really enjoyed the first season, if you didn't watch that review that I put up probably a couple of years ago now at this point. But when season 2 became available, I was excited to see it because I really liked that first season. So I started watching it through, and it took me a bit longer to get through this time than the first season did. And I have to say, it's because a couple of things changed in the second season. First, the story itself is a little bit different, and character-wise, the One Punch Man, Saitama, he is relegated to the background. It was a bit of a tough thing for them, I'm sure, to do an entire first season where every new threat was like, ooh, is he more strong than Saitama? Is he not? At the beginning of this season, the second season, they basically say, no one is stronger than Saitama. Saitama really is the strongest there is. No one can really hold a candle to him. So, as a result, he can't be the main character of this season. Even though it's called One Punch Man Season 2, he is honestly playing video games most of the entire season. He does come out a few times to punch some stuff, but... And then there's a competition, a tournament that he enters in order to try and see what other martial arts are out there. But he's pretty much relegated to the background for most of the season. And instead, we follow around a guy, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, obviously, but I think it's pronounced Garo. And he is a human that... more aligns with monsters than he does the heroes or even humanity. Whenever he was growing up, he always would prefer to play monsters. When everyone wanted to play heroes and monsters, he always just felt more in line with the monsters. And so in this one, he becomes the hero hunter. He's trained himself. He's at peak physical condition, which basically all the fighters in this are. But he starts to take out one hero after another and starts to establish a reputation as the hero hunter. And Saitama actually catches wind of it, hears about this guy, but never bumps into him, even though he actually bumps into him, he just doesn't realize it. But they never come up against each other, and it's because Garo is kind of more of a... He's kind of... skirts the line between hero and bad guy. He starts off, you think he's going to be one of the main antagonists, but then the Monster Association gets together where all the monsters have now teamed up and created this association in order to try and A, survive, and B, start taking out the heroes in a more planned out way. And so Garo he's not really the antagonist, he's becomes sort of the protagonist. And kind of a protagonist. Nonetheless, it becomes kind of his story in the back half of the season, where he's trying to take down more heroes, but he's not trying to kill them necessarily at this point. And since there ends up being so many of them teaming up against him, that's where it kind of feels like he's more of the protagonist, because you're kind of cheering for him to survive, since he's not trying to take them out necessarily. But it's kind of interesting, but it's just not, to me, as interesting as this first season's story was with Saitama. I like Saitama. I like Genos, his I guess pupil. It's who he takes on as a I can't think of the name, but a protege is what he takes him on as. And so Genos is now super strong. He's mostly metal, mostly RoboCop machine at this point. So he just produced massive energy blasts from his arm cannons, and his arms can actually work freely of himself. He's become super powerful, and we don't really see much of the hero society that we focused on in the first season. We do see them. I mean, there's constantly heroes that are, Class S hero, Class A hero, Class B hero. We still see all of that, but it's not focused on like it was in the first season when Saitama was trying to become one. That's pretty much completely out the door at this point. Saitama is happy it's not his story, so he's not really trying to be a part of the Hero Association anymore. He's just having fun playing video games with King most of the season. So it was, I don't know. The season is really strange because the story shifted so dramatically for me. It becomes, the Hero Association versus the Monster Association, with Saitama appearing when he needs to kind of save the day. Doesn't work as well for me. The other thing that changed kind of drastically was the animation. So what ended up happening is the director of the first season, because of apparently scheduling conflicts, he could not come back to direct the second season. And the way it works for certain Japanese animation shows is certain directors have a team that work under them, and specifically work only under them. So if he's busy working on something else, he's got his team with him. So the same team didn't really work on One Punch Man Season 2. So what happened was the animation took a big hit. The fights were something that were focused hugely on in the first season, and the animation style was so cool and so different and just really intense and involved. And you saw every blow and the big explosive blows and all this stuff. In Season 2, it feels like all of that is cut around. Like, a lot of the destruction happens off camera. It's not as gory by any stretch. It's more like you see him go into punch, and then you see a big flash, and then you'll just see the body with like a big chunk of it missing from the punch. And it's like, that's not nearly as interesting. So that took a big dive to me, the whole animation style. Like, it's still the same characters, you can tell, but that's part of what I loved about Season 1 was how kinetic everything was in the animation. And in this one, even during the big fights, it'll like go from some of the animated stuff to just like, it'll separate the screen into 3 parts, and it'll just show still frame, still frame, still frame. And that's supposed to act like a fight, and it doesn't work. It's like, why am I seeing still frame? I want to see a fight right now. So they took a lot of shortcuts in the second season, and it just doesn't play as well. Now, am I still interested enough in the story to continue on to Season 3 when it becomes available? Yeah, I'll probably watch it just to see if it gets better, but I'm already seeing, when I was trying to do a little bit of research for this review as far as what happened with the animation style, apparently there might be even less Saitama in Season 3. And I'm like, oh, man, he's fading further and further away from his own series called One Punch Man. So I'm not a big fan if that's the trend that they're headed for. So I don't know. I'll give it a try still. If the next season is just as kind of underwhelming, then I'll probably abandon ship at that point. But we'll see. We'll see. I still have hope, but if it's the same animation studio, they have to learn from all of the criticism, because apparently there was a really big backlash when this season first dropped. A lot of people were unhappy with a lot of it because of the substandard animation when it's compared to this first season of the same show. So you never want that to happen. I mean, when movies have dramatic step downs from as they progress with sequels, that's not as unbearable because it's 1 hour-and-a-half to 2 hour long movie. Whereas a season, you're investing an entire season in substandard material, especially when you compare it to its own self in its first season's form. So I don't know. It was okay. If you really liked Season 1, I recommend giving it a try. If you're not into it after the first few episodes, it's not going to get much better, so you can abandon at that point. But yeah, I mean, I think that's going to pretty much cover all of my thoughts on this. I didn't really break it down like we normally do our reviews, but I just kind of didn't have a whole lot to say. Just wanted to get my main thoughts out there, and you guys can decide if you want to give it a try. It is available on Hulu, the subtitled version. So if you want to go check it out there for free if you already have a Hulu subscription. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it's anything you need to rush out and catch it when you can catch it. So that's going to do it for my review of One Punch Man Season 2. If you've watched it, let me know in the comments down below if you agree with me or if you enjoyed it more than I did. If you haven't watched it, or if you've seen Season 1, are you planning to watch it? Or if you haven't seen any of it, does this make you less interested to watch it? Again, I highly recommend Season 1. But Season 2, just a bit of a step down, unfortunately. So, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe. Also, we have our Patreon link down in the description box where you can suggest movies for us to review or do commentaries for, things like that. So, thank you very much for watching. I've been Cecil Laird, and remember, stay scared.